Hello, hello, this is Johnny Cycles bringing you a deck tech for another Dragons in Modern article that I'm working on, and man, is this a fun one. It checks a lot of janky boxes and a lot of guilty pleasure boxes for me, so let's jump right to it. Our game plan here is to ramp into a Dragonback Assault, Big Back Assault, as early as turn 3. This is a 6 mana enchantment from Dragonstorm Tarkir Dragonstorm. And it says when this enchantment enters, it deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. And then landfall, whenever a land you control enters, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. So we're mostly interested in the landfall trigger, although the first part is very relevant in stabilizing in order for us to turn the corner and win the game. So yeah, we want to ramp into this and then start making land drops to beat face with 4/4 red dragon creature tokens. So how are we going to do that? Well, we have our 1-drop package of ramp, Utopia Sprawl, great ramp spell. Our Boreal Grazer, combos so nicely with Flare of Cultivation. If we have both of them in our opening hand, then we can get to 4 mana by turn 2, which then allows us to cast a Sowing Mycospawn to ramp us even further. And then we put our 5th land into play with this card, and then on turn 3, untap, play a 6th land. We can play Dragonback Assault as early as turn 3. Further helping us ramp and dig for what we want is Malevolent Rumble, a modern all-star. Sowing Mycospawn, like I said, to get us that extra land, but also in the later game to exile a problematic land of our opponents. So this card is, I mean, you see it in the Eldrazi big mana decks, and I feel like it was probably a little bit slept on when it was spoiled, unassuming, if you will, rare from Modern Horizons 3, but man, it's super powerful in the big mana decks and in the ramp decks, and including our own. Another janky card, but one that's really powerful in our deck is Breaching Dragonstorm, a 5 mana enchantment. When it enters, we exile cards from the top of our library until we exile a non-land card. We may cast it without paying its mana cost if that spell's mana value is 8 or less. If we don't, we put that card into our hand. And then whenever a dragon we control enters, we return Breaching Dragonstorm to our hand. So this combos really well with our Dragonback Assault. So we can cast this as early as turn 3. Maybe we get lucky, which we have in the past. Spin into Dragonback Assault. We start making our land drops, making dragons. When those dragons enter, Breaching Dragonstorm gets returned to our hand, and we get to do it all over again. So it's a really powerful card advantage engine once we get it online. But that is not all, folks. We play Ugin, Eye of the Storms in the 7-drop spot. It's amazing how much more playable this Ugin is versus the 8-drop Ugin. Just 1 mana less, and it's much more playable. You don't even need to go into Tron to play it. Anyway, this Ugin gets played in the Eldrazi big mana decks as well, so anyone playing Modern is familiar with it. It's just as powerful in our deck. We get to ramp into it as an alternative win condition if we can't find our Dragonback Assault. Exile a problematic permanent, start gaining life, start casting Sowing Mycospawns to deal with other problematic permanents. So yeah, I mean, it does a lot for us, just like any other deck that's playing it. When you have a 7-mana planeswalker with a static ability plus a bunch of powerful pluses, well, one powerful plus, of course it's going to help take over a game, and that's what it can do. Alternative win condition, win us a game a lot of times if we can get it down as early as turn 4. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the ramp package again. My original plan for this deck was to try out Dragonback Assault in a Primeval Titan shell, like I've done with my Amulet Dinos. And you can watch some of the gameplay on my YouTube channel once I post it, just to see how it played. But it was so clunky. Some of it was bad variants, like I literally got mana screwed 2 matches in a row with 28 lands in the deck where I just could not find lands, couldn't find the right lands. But other times it just felt like the meta was more prepared for fighting against Primeval Titan in that shell than it is to fight against something like this. It's harder to interact with just a bunch of ramp spells. And so I felt like it just wasn't playing the way I wanted it to. Maybe if I'd tried a few more matches, I'd have been okay or happy with it, but I didn't like it. And so I wanted to try this particular ramp shell. And I think it works really well for a couple of reasons. First, like I said, we don't have to worry about artifact hate blowing up our ramp cards. And second, a lot of these ramp spells that are typically dead draws in the late game are actually some of our best draws once we get Dragonback Assault out. So Flare of Cultivation does double duty. In the early game, it ramps us into Dragonback Assault, and in the late game, it finds us lands to put on the battlefield to trigger Dragonback Assault and get more 4/4 dragons. Same with the Boreal Grazer. If we draw it late and we have an extra land in hand, make the land drop, get two 4/4 dragon tokens, as well as Sowing Mycospawn, right? I mean, we know how powerful this card is in the late game for big Eldrazi decks, but sometimes you're not playing against a deck that has problematic lands that you want to take care of. And so then it's just sort of a vanilla 3/3 for either 4 or 6 mana that ramps you, but why when you already have 8 or 9 lands out? You don't necessarily need more ramp. Well, for us, in the late game, once we have Dragonback Assault out, a 4 mana 3/3 also brings with it a 4/4 flying dragon. Alright, let's get on to the sideboard here. I will say, a lot of guilty pleasure cards. Alternative sideboard plan a little bit. Our opponent brings in some hate against enchantments, some more counter magic, some takes out some of their removal. Well, we bring in a bunch more lower mana curve creatures. Magmatic Hellkite, evasion 4/5, hard to deal with flyer that can attack our opponent's mana base. For those problematic lands out there from Eldrazi and Amulet Titan, for instance. Questing Beast, one of my favorites, comes down as early as turn 2. If our opponent's taking out some of their removal, they could just be caught off guard. We can steal a victory that way. Does a great job protecting our life total too against the aggressive strategies. Bloomvine Regent, another one that helps our life total, 4/5 for 5. We can either use it to get some forests to help us make more dragons with Dragonback Assault, or we, more often than not, will want to cast it as early as turn 3 and start gaining life. Force of Vigor and Meltdown to help against Affinity and other artifacts, problematic artifacts, and enchantments. So, I will be honest, the sideboard is a bit, like I said, full of guilty pleasures. It's possible we should take some things out in order to shore up some of the weaknesses, like for instance, go wide strategies or graveyard strategies. We don't have any graveyard hate. Dragonback Assault does help us against some of the go wide strategies. We have main deck hate against it, 3 damage to all creatures. But it wouldn't hurt necessarily to have a Pyroclasm or 2 in the sideboard. Maybe some endurances to help against the graveyard. I will say for Bloomvine Regent, you may look at it and be we should take it out. If we're playing Burn, it's unlikely we'll get to cast it anyway. Well, the reality is we do often get to cast it because we are such a heavy ramp deck. And it synergizes really nicely with both Breaching Dragonstorm and Dragonback Assault. So we play Bloomvine Regent, get a land. We gain 3 life when it enters. Then when we play a land, we get another 4/4 flying dragon, gain another 3 life. And at that point, often our opponent's ready to scoop, especially a burn opponent. So this, I don't want to take this one out. I think, unfortunately, it would be Questing Beast, but let me know in the comments what you think. Anyway, so that's my big back assault deck for Dragons in Modern. Let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoy the gameplay. The article and all the matches will come out on June 6th, this Friday. So as always, this is Johnny Cycles. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one.